Hey guys, my name's Nick, and this is Gradient Pixels. Today I'm not joined by Shane, but I had an idea for a video that I wanted to make, and so I'm making it. As you may or may not be able to tell from a couple of our videos, I'm a pretty big Fallout fan, and Fallout 76 has been a game that's very hotly debated among people in the Fallout community. The purpose of this video is just for me to play devil's advocate with a bunch of these issues. So basically, I will present an issue that I'm seeing pop up in a bunch of conversations about Fallout 76, and then I will be offering a devil's advocate counter-argument to that issue. Now, I may agree with my own counterpoints, or I may disagree with my own counterpoints, but the whole purpose of the video is just to get a better conversation going, other than, oh, the game's doing this, I hate it, it's bad. There's reasons that all of these things happen, and again, whether or not I agree or disagree with it, I'm offering up some counterpoints so that way people can think about maybe why some of these decisions are being made in regards to Fallout 76. So, with that out of the way, let's get started. So the first issue that a lot of people in the community are obviously reacting strongly to is the news that the Fallout 76 beta will not be starting till October. It was announced by Bethesda that the beta would have some other minor phases to the beta, but the big open beta that everybody that pre-orders the game that they will get into starts in October, which is a month before launch. And a lot of people are saying that that's not enough time for them to fix anything that could be wrong with the game, and it's not enough time, and that it's just a marketing beta. So my first counterpoint to this idea that the October beta date is far too late for them to have a beta. Bethesda, obviously we know, they like to announce a date and stick to a date. It's a big part of their marketing push for when they release games. They want to announce a game right as it's getting close to that release time. They don't usually, with the exception of this past E3, announce things that are very far off the year we're going to be playing the game. But they have never said that they are against delaying a game. I've gotten into a couple conversations with people that somehow think that the beta being in October means that they can never delay the game. It's still going to come out in that November date, which, granted, probably will happen. But Bethesda has never said that they are against delaying a game. Everybody knows about the famous Shigeru Miyamoto quote, "A delayed game is eventually good while a rushed game is forever bad." And I don't really see any reason why Bethesda, being the company that they are, would be against delaying a game. If there's something massively wrong with it that we find in the beta in October, they can delay the game and they'll still have more time to fix these massive game-breaking issues before their launch date. Some people are just suggesting that the date of November is the hard-locked one, and granted, it probably still will be, but a delay is not off the table, if you get what I'm saying. If they need more time, they can always delay it. They don't have to try to jam in all these fixes a month before release during their October beta period. A second counterpoint I have to this beta time frame kind of issue is that Bethesda has stated, and it's on the beta FAQ, that they plan on having the beta roll into the full release of the game. Now, if we have a beta that's months before the full launch of the game, and people are playing that beta constantly, which you want to in order to get more feedback and fixes and stuff like that out, known to the developers, if a bunch of people are playing this beta and it's released months in advance of the full game, then people are going to be stacking up a bunch of experience, loot, all the stuff that you get with the beta, because they've said the beta's trying to be the full game that they roll into the wide launch of the game. And if you have people that are playing for all these hours in order to find bugs and all that while gaining experience, levels, loot, all that stuff, and it carries over into the game, I have a hard time seeing how that's fair for people who didn't pre-order the game, didn't get the beta access, and are entering the game for the first time on the launch day. It just it seems weird that if there would be players who are way over leveled and decide to be the bad player and go around and killing people willy-nilly, it'd be so unfair for the people that come out of the vault on the launch day. And likewise for friends who want to play together, if someone pre-ordered and got the beta and another friend didn't, and they want to play together, is the one friend that didn't going to be locked out from some higher level content, or are they going to have problems with fighting certain types of enemies based off leveling? I just can't really see how that would be fair for new players. So the beta being in a 1 month time frame in front of the wide launch of the game makes complete sense if they're going to roll it right into the full release and keep all the stats and everything carry over with the characters. Now for the second point, the lack of non-human NPCs will ruin the experience of Fallout 76. Because of the standpoint that Bethesda Game Studios wants every human in the world to be a real player, Fallout 76 is going to remove or get rid of any of the experience and joy that people have had interacting with characters in other Bethesda Game Studios games. So for this, let's first take a look at it from a lore perspective. Vaults like Vault 76 are just now opening in this 20 to 25 year frame after the Great War that annihilated the world. And it would stand to reason that if they're just now opening, the wasteland would not be super populated with a bunch of humans yet. They would all be leaving the vault, like we're doing in Fallout 76, and exploring, starting to group together and build their own civilizations again, start to rebuild. So it stands to reason that the wasteland just wouldn't be that filled with that many human players that we're used to in other Fallout games, which take place hundreds of years after the bombs fell, when society has had time to leave and rebuild and repopulate. Also, think about how many quests and other interactions players have been able to interact with in other Fallout games that were non-human. I think of like the Stealing Independence quest from Fallout 3, the Brain Dead quest from Fallout 4 Far Harbor, the murder mystery in the vault. I think of Fallout New Vegas, the Wild Card quest line with Yes Man. These are all quests that involve robot NPCs that interact with the players, are the main characters of these quest lines, and you do all your talking and interaction and fighting with these robot characters. And a lot of them, like Yes Man from New Vegas, or the residents in the vault from Fallout 4 Brain Dead quest, they have a lot of personality and likability behind them. So they're still compelling enough characters to carry their own quest lines and stuff like that. The No-Clip documentary about the development of Fallout 76 also highlights a new ghoul faction called the Scorched, which they have said are intelligent. Whether they are a faction that you can ally with or fight is to be determined. But we know that there's going to be at least another faction that we can interact with, either get quests, fight, talk to, things like that. And what about the after-launch window? Bethesda Game Studios has said in the No-Clip documentary and in other areas like the FAQ section that they plan on supporting the game for years after launch with free DLC, microtransactions, what have you. So is it really that far out of the realm of possibility to think that maybe after some time has passed, both in real life and in game life, that a new faction of human NPCs could find themselves trying to take over the West Virginia wasteland, or just move in a new trading group that comes in that you can go seek out and talk with? It's not like we're locked into this launch window and that's the entire game. There's room to expand. There's room for them to add in these human factions at a later point. I know we want the game at launch and we want them in the game at launch, but it's not a hard and fast rule that, seeing as they said no human NPCs, that we can't ever not get them in the future. Just because the human NPCs at launch have been replaced by human players doesn't mean that the entire experience will be ruined. If anything, you'll be experiencing new feelings while playing the game. Now, instead of you being able to see that that person over there with the Brahmin is obviously a traitor, you'll see a person and you'll think, I wonder if they're a traitor, or I wonder if they're going to try to kill me. Then you have this cool dynamic that we haven't really had in a Fallout game yet of risk versus reward, or role-playing, like how you want to approach a situation. And I think that's really cool and something that a lot of people aren't really focusing on. And lastly, which is some pretty recent news, is that Fallout 76 will not be sold on Steam. Instead of being sold on Steam, the game will be distributed through Bethesda's Bethesda.net launcher. This has had a lot of people rise up and say, oh, I'm not buying the game because it's not being sold on Steam. Now, I'm not the best at analogies, but the way that I see this is kind of like the console exclusive market. You have your Xbox games that are playable on Xbox, you have your PlayStation games playable on PlayStation. Now, some people don't like exclusives, but you can't really argue with the fact that those are how you draw people in, are your exclusives. I see this Bethesda.net and Steam kind of dispute as a sort of PC sub-exclusive, if you will. Obviously, this move makes it so that Bethesda can retain more of their profit, because Steam obviously takes a big chunk of revenue, supposedly 30% for games that are sold through Steam, and also like microtransactions and stuff like that. But I have to ask, where are the people that are upset that Blizzard games aren't sold on Steam? Blizzard has their own launcher with Battle.net. The new Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, this one's going to be sold on Battle.net and not through Steam. Are people getting mad about that as well? Or am I just not seeing any of that outrage? Doesn't it seem a little hypocritical that the PC audience would take Fallout 76 and suggest, oh, because it's on this other launcher, I'm not going to buy it, while simultaneously praising Blizzard, because Blizzard's one of those big PC developers, for having their own launcher and selling games exclusive to that and not Steam? Is it hypocritical that people don't get upset that EA sells their games through Origin or any of these other launchers like Uplay and stuff like that? I don't see a great amount of people getting upset that these games are exclusive to different launchers, but for Fallout, they are. Is publishers just trying to draw in their fan bases to their specific distribution place? While it can be annoying to have to manage a bunch of different launchers, I think it beats the alternative of having to pay for multiple different launchers and buy your games through those like you would if you were buying multiple consoles to play exclusives. You still get the launchers for free. You're just buying the game, it's just a place that you have to keep track of to download it. I find it hard to believe that if most people are Steam users, which I happen to think is probable, most PC players probably do play on Steam, but I find it hard to believe that Steam is their only distribution platform that they use, that they don't touch Battle.net, or they don't touch Bethesda, or they don't touch Origin, or any of the others that I've listed. There's just too many games and people that like different things that if there is a game that comes out that's not being sold on Steam, and they're like, oh, well, I guess that I just have to ban that. That seems kind of silly to me. Also, by having the game distributed through Bethesda.net, they being Bethesda, probably cut out on a couple of extra steps and hurdles that they have to go through with Steam for pushing out game updates, for running their microtransactions, for conflicting mod support, like if Steam Workshop and Bethesda.net mods kind of conflict with games. It's all streamlined through Bethesda.net, and they know it works because they designed it, and they know that they can distribute their games and services that way. Even partying up with friends, it'll probably just be streamlined if they're building it with this Bethesda.net infrastructure in place already, opposed to designing it for Steam's overlays and having to adapt it to the Steam architecture with Bethesda.net. It just starts to get muddled and confused, and they'll probably save more development time on just having it run well with Bethesda.net. So my hope with this video was for it just to act as some food for thought for people in the community, to get some different perspectives on Fallout 76, because a lot of times you'll go into comments on videos like I do, and you'll just see people, well, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this is just bad, 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 bad. And I don't really get that. Like, I understand what everybody's saying about it's their first time doing a multiplayer game, and obviously that is cause for concern because they haven't done this before. But at the same time, Bethesda are the company that made Fallout 3. They're the company that made Skyrim. They've made games that people love. And Fallout 4, while it wasn't the fan favorite, it still wasn't a bad game. It was their best-selling game that they've ever made. I just think that sometimes people forget that. And it's weird seeing how the fan response is to some of the decisions being made about Fallout 76. But other than that, if you enjoyed, or maybe you didn't enjoy, put your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.